Well, good morning to you. Molly.
Good morning.
Your hair, it's nice.
Thank you. I changed the style a bit.
Yeah, Kojo couldn't join us. He'll be joining us soon, as and when he can. But have a bit of.
But how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah,
good.
Kofi. Kofi from home.
But we can just a little bit of cold, but
I think it's in the air. You know, as if it's coming, going, coming. The weather is so cold a bit.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it until yesterday.
It's not the familiar weather for September. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Climate change, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it until yesterday evening. I got into my wallet and saw that it's empty, so I started feeling cold. Usually, I wasn't feeling cold. It's serious.
I don't understand.
I was wondering whether the weather was in the wallets. But it's been raining where I live.
Okay.
And drying. Washing and drying has been very challenging this
weekend.
What
do you do? What have you been
I don't know, nothing.
You just try,
you dry and then you see that it's drizzling and you quickly go and take the things off the line.
What I did, usually I wash at home. So what I did, I wash I think on Thursday evening. So Friday was
What time do you get home? You think it's easy for everybody like that?
No. I'm not saying that the way
Let's
it
stick
is
to
for
the
me.
newspapers.
No, I did in the evening or night. I should say in the night.
Yeah, but who will be home to take care of the things
I know.
you put on the line? Well. Okay, so everybody has one wahala or the other, right?
Yeah,
so this is ours. What
you know
is yours?
any child that's going to senior high school?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm
not directly.
With a couple and it's not easy. Sometimes.
They've been placed?
Well, yeah, they've been placed, but one has day and they wanted a boarding because the child is 12. And then the other two, it's the system has gone down a bit, you know, since the weekend. It's been difficult trying to access.
But the weekend, I saw a number of persons who have completed a JHS at various internet cafes. Either trying to get placed or trying to make changes, a lot of them.
I hear some people are not able to access even with the code. So, but this is expected,
the platform itself
right?
looks jammed. I mean,
this is expected.
Yeah.
I mean, because reopening is just tomorrow, so everybody will be rushing to do the same thing.
Because they need to print the slip and send it to the school for their prospectus. And all.
I think what is most important is how the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education will handle the situation.
We understand they have a news conference later today to address some of the concerns that have come up ahead of the implementation of the board track.
And Cassandra is also willing to speak to us this morning. So.
Yeah, all right. So if there's anything you want us to touch on, just pass it through to us. But let's do the newspapers. We'll quickly run through what's on the headlines in terms of what's on the front and back pages of the papers. I'll begin with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic is our president smiling, sitting alongside the Rwandan President Paul Kagame. It's on the front page of the paper. It says, Agric Gets Boost, 500 million Ghana cedis as loan insurance to farmers. Court finds businessman for unlicensed insurance firm operation. Kofi Annan's body arrives today. And on the back page of the paper, Yakubu powers Koroko to beat Ash Gold. Stars still lead Group F despite loss to Kenya. That's it for the Daily Graphic.
We can take a look at the Daily Guide now. The front page of the Daily Guide, it says, President hails planting for food and jobs. And another story on the Auditor General. Auditor General snubs Nana over 640 million CD contractors audit. We seem to be seeing some trend with regards to the Daily Guide and the Auditor General. The same gentleman wrote the story too. We'll get the details later. GRA in bed with tax defaulters, and Nuno Mensah punches Mahama, also on the front page of the Daily Guide. The Ghanaian Observer says, Hachu Chief commends East MC for pulling down Hassan Ayarige's illegal structures. And President Akufo-Addo grabs top award over free SHS. Free SHS will help create many busiers from poor families, is according to the Vice President, Dr. Baumian Collins Amankwa, decorated with 2 awards in the USA. And the last one here says, pressure mounts on Controller and Accountant General to leave office. We'll get the details of that story later.
The Finder newspaper, let's follow that up with the Finder. Front page of the Finder. We did nothing wrong. GMPC outlines benefits of Letasco deal. 500 million Ghana cedis credit facility for Agric in the offing. 14,254 nurses get financial clearance. physician assistants to embark on strike today. And 6.8 million Ghanaians are poor. 6.8 million Ghanaians are poor.
Out of a population of close to population of close to 30 million.
So what's the benchmark?
That's it. Poor? It looks very.
If you live under $1 a day.
With the figure we are hearing, it looks that the benchmark is very low because 6 million out of a population of close to 30 million.
We'll get into the details. Let's see what. But the Ghanaian Times newspaper, President Lord's government policy for agric sector growth in 2017. KIA Terminal 3 to commence full operation September 15. Kofi Annan's remains arrives today. Ghanaian Times publishes pullout on him on Wednesday. The paper is advertising. South Sudan plane crash kills 19. Back page of the Times, Black Starlets overcome Togo, AFCON 2019. Ghana suffers shock loss to Kenya as Apia hints return of Jan. Are you brothers?
All right. So we have the Dispatch newspaper. It has on the front page, Ministry of Finance and GMPC Wahala. Piak backs probe into GMPC's $34 million loss. The story is on page 2 and 12 of the paper. Marriage survey in Ghana. 34% of women between 15 and 49 have never been married. And we have average age of first sexual activity 18 years. All within the paper. And there's also an inside story. It's on page 11 though. It says, do not pay money to get bail. Police caution public. And Kojo Preku's open letter to the Deputy Minister of Tourism. So those are the stories were. But on the back page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, Justice Crab was outstanding, Ekufuado, and Atukwe Okan to be buried at Military Cemetery on Friday. I believe the new military cemetery. Okay. All right. So that'll be it.
The Daily Statesman will be the last one for me. It says massive growth in agriculture. Sound policies yield 8.36% growth. And Anyidoho others are bought mercenaries at the NDC questions loyalty of Deputy General Secretary. There's a photograph of Koku Anyidoho. And the last one here, President back from China with goodies. You should see the smile on his face on the front page of the Daily Statesman. Lots of goodies, I guess.
Okay, so there's an interesting story on the front page of the Daily Heritage newspaper. It says, fallout from South Africa 2010 FIFA World Cup. It's been the only tournament Africa has hosted. South Africa, we did very well. We nearly went to the semi-finals, didn't happen nearly. Derek Boatin sues John Paintsel over $20,000 borrowed money. John Paintsel borrowed the money according to a suit that has been filed in court by legal reps or representative of his own teammate or former teammate Derek Boatin. That all efforts to make sure that they retrieve the money have been proving futile so far. Otinibi residents celebrate 2018 Homowo. Otinibi is after Adenta, just close to Amra here. Don't contest 2020 post. Nunu Mensah advises Mahama. A lot of people seem to be advising John Mahama these days. Nunu Mensah is following a former minister, Mr. Kojo Yanka, who also wrote that on his Facebook page. So those will be the story in the meantime. But let's look at the Today newspaper. Ban Mahama songs at NDC functions, Alabi to NDC leadership. And then we have Doomsol looms as death situation at Gridco worsens. Obom Weku marks Homowo Festival. And then non-formal education neglected, Pamoja Ghana. We seem to have a lot of international schools these days. So we think everything is well in our country. All right. So any prominence?
The Finder newspaper. Let's go to page 4. That's where we have the 6.8 million Ghanaians being poor, except that this figure has actually reduced. So this is better than we had. I think between 2012 and the years ahead of 2017 or before 2017. But the story said that recent surveys show that between 2012 and 2017, overall poverty declined from 24.2% to 23.4%. The 0.8% reduction in the incidence of poverty between 2012 and 2017 has been minimal. Between 2006 and 2017, the number of poor people in the country reduced from 7 million to 6.8 million. These are contained in the Ghana Living Standard Survey 7 Poverty Profile Report. It was launched in Accra by the Ghana Statistical Service, supported by the World Bank, UK, DFID, and the Dutch government. So you can read on. The rest of the story is here. And perhaps I can just read a little more of what the acting government statistician, Ba Wadie, said at the launch. That's 27 teams were formed, with 25 of these teams deployed regularly in the field, with 2 teams serving as the relieving teams. Okay, this is more on how they came to collecting what was on the ground, forming this opinion. But I'll leave the rest for you to explore in the paper. And then Kofi Annan to be given decent but subdued farewell. Ambassador Annan, a former secretary to the cabinet and chair of the committee organizing the state funeral of Kofi Annan, says the former United Nations Secretary General will be given a decent but subdued farewell in line with his wishes. He said the funeral would capture the letter and spirit of what the distinguished diplomat wanted. And I know, for instance, that it's, because of who he was, obviously, it couldn't be as quiet as he had wanted it to be. So it has to be a state funeral, and it's just a little below what the president, so above the vice president and below the president. That's why he's getting the is it 17 gun salute, and it's a full state funeral with the military definitely in charge. His body arrives later today at 4 p.m. There will be a short ceremony at the Kotoka International Airport, which will be live here on JoyNews.
I thought it's not Accra.
It's Accra International Airport. It's Kotoka. Yeah.
There was one time the Minister of Information designates, I think in one of, during his press conference, was there a mistake?
Let me see
what you have seen. Yeah, I heard that. What you have seen so far is that there had been calls for the airport to be named after Kofi Annan. I've seen that on social media. I've seen people make that argument. But as the official record stands, we know it's to be the Kotoka still until it's changed. But I mean, this is the final week. Mr. Annan, a great Ghanaian who has achieved so much, and we are expecting a lot of people to come into the country to bid him farewell. Yeah, I'm sure we must give him our best. I mean, he has served this nation, he has made this nation so proud for generations to come. The least we can do is to just give him that send-off that will get people who may not have known about Kofi Annan, at least to learn about him during this period, so that they can aspire to such heights and become great individuals themselves.
I listened to a report this morning, and some students of the Mfansipim school all saying that some of them who were interviewed said it was because they knew they had heard Kofi Annan went to Mfansipim. That's what inspired them to be in Mfansipim, because they know that they could also get to the level where he got to. I mean, he was a great man. So tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, the opportunity will be given to all of us to go to the Accra International Conference Center for filing past and paying of last respects. It will be Tuesday and Wednesday, because on Thursday you will not get that opportunity. So let's do it. Let's pay our last respects. And
because it's supposed to be a private burial.
Yes, it will be a strictly private burial, but we will see just a little bit of it at the cemetery, just a little bit, and then the rest will be absolutely private. So the body will arrive today. We will go to the Accra International Conference Center on Tuesday and Wednesday to pay our last respect. On Thursday will be the funeral proper, and then he will be laid to rest. All right, so that's it from the Finder. Any other stories from any newspapers?
I want us to take a look at a book that has been published by a professor I've spoken to before, one professor, Douglas Boateng. He's a supply chain management expert, and it's on the front page of the daily of the Business and Financial Times. It's about the 1D, 1F. In his book, he seems to give us an inclination about what government needs to do before we have a certain realizable objective for the 1DF or 1D, 1F, and which is the one district, one factory initiative. government says that with the secretariat and the information they give out, they are not putting in money. So if the private sector comes, they kind of facilitate for you to get some credit. But in his book, he's saying that if we're supposed to make this dream realizable, then it also means that there needs to be money that has been set aside for it to become some kind of a venture capital or some fund by which they can draw in, so that they are in a position to facilitate or put together the factories. And so, for example, we've had the UMB, the Investor Merchant Bank, say they are putting together or setting aside 100 million US Ghana cedis, so to speak. But he's saying that all we will need actually for the whole initiative to thrive is 10 billion US dollars. It all brings into context whether we had a certain guideline or plan or a certain feasibility that was undertaken in all the communities that were supposed to have these factories. Did we identify the communities potentially?
As in before implementation, we knew that the policy was already in existence.
Yes. Did we look at what we're going to get from each of the districts, and which districts are they going to be?
I recall there was a chart that was put out some time back showing the resources available.
I know.
Yeah, in every area. But I agree with a bit about how we want to follow through with it. So in terms of the support you are giving to people, because I have heard the senior minister, for instance, say that there are some areas that you may not have industries coming up necessarily. He says people may be selling flowers in that area, and that may be what they may be able to do. So that it brings into focus the bit about that blueprint, that strategic plan that you are deciding that these are the areas you are targeting. This is where you need to, because it fits into the whole national basket of the products you need. Because mind you, it's not just about setting up industries when you don't have a market for those industries. Else you end up, setting up things that will, in some 4 or 5 years to come, we'll talk about those industries collapsing simply because they are not making money. And I don't think we want to see that.
Yes, and so he goes further to say that, especially once we're dealing with China and the influx of the goods that come into our country, we are going to compete with local industry. Already we have industries that are competing and are not even winning that competition against the so-called imports. So he tries to put into perspective, where will then these outputs or products from these factories that will be established in this district be? Can they compete? Would they be in a position to say they have the right institutions and the right raw materials, and even more so the funding to be able to compete? And I think that brings into sharp focus whether that policy in itself is sustainable. Can we realize that policy beyond the term of the next 2 years, when the 4-year period of the Kofi Annan-led government expires? How many factories can we build? Have we built so far?
Sounds like we're asking the basic questions again. We're back to the beginning.
The point is that the questions haven't been answered in the first
place.
But
the approach being private-centered makes it look a bit more sustainable than it being public. Because what it means is that if you're able to set up just 2 in the whole country, just 2 of them, they are owned by private individuals who we know that will want to make profits. And from experiences in Ghana, we know that when people own companies privately, they tend to perform much better than the public one. So that is the advantage I see on paper in terms of the sustainability. But the campaign promises were made. We've heard back and forth about whether we are seeing all the factories in the districts before 2020 or not. The president has always insisted by 2020 we'll see them. So let's just see how it goes. I recall what happened to the 200 schools that was promised some time back, and you can expect those same standards to be utilized in this instance. But there's money that we need to do all these projects, and there's this story in the Daily Guide talking about money, and we are told that the GRA is in bed with tax defaulters. As a Daily Guide report, it says some officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority appear to be hobnobbing with tax defaulters as several attempts to collect outstanding revenues had been botched. We are told that over 200 companies are said to be owing 666.4 million tax liabilities from imports alone. Sources said the debt management and compliance unit of the GRA has been hampered in exercising its functions to collect outstanding tax revenues. Several attempts by the unit to enforce regulatory directives were frustrated by some powers that be at the GRA. So they said the unit recently invited the media to accompany it on an operation to enforce tax compliance, but the exercise was called off at the last minute amidst flurry of consultations with no explanations given. So the story in simple terms is saying that the people want to go out there and take the money, but it appears there are people within who tend to influence it and not getting them to go out to pick the money. So that is how much we are losing in terms of revenue. You know, this is bad on so many fronts.
Yeah.
One, we are talking about imports, which in itself is a problem. And two is the fact that the revenue from the imports, you're also not going for it.
So we've been talking about expanding the tax net, right? We've been talking about others not paying at all. But if you have the records and some others are supposed to be paying and then they are not paying and you're sitting down and you're watching them, well, I hope that the paper is clean on that front as well. Because I know that when media turns attention on the GRA, they refocus and they say, okay, we'll begin with you. Since you're telling me that I'm in bed with people who owe me, then I'm starting with you.
No, but the thing is that in other jurisdictions, the systems don't know players. They don't know party agents.
In Ghana,
they
we
don't
do.
know businessmen.
Look at the central bank.
They don't know businessmen.
The supervisory division. They know the banks.
They don't know businessmen or businesses that contribute to political parties. Even if you flout the regulations, it means that you're going in for the kill. And that is what, let's say, institutions as in the US, the tax agency, Uncle Sam, etc., always have become strong institutions that help to recruit or accrue a lot of revenue for the state. It's some of those monies that they bring to us as aid. We've forgotten. But for us, we allow the institutions and the agencies that can pay the taxes to not pay or to flout the regulations. And that's the difficulty that we have in our country. Elsewhere in the developed world, for which we claim that we model our democracy on, for which we claim that we want to aspire to achieve as far as their economic heights are, they enforce the regulations, we don't. And if we don't enforce the regulations, it means that we'll just be paying hypocritical lip service to whatever initiatives that we claim that we have. We're doing, is it CTN at the ports, which has been resisted? We've backed down.
We postponed. We said we would do it in October next month.
And that's the trouble we have in our part of the world. The inability of institutions to enforce regulations to the letter, just because the individuals or institutions involved are affiliated.
If the governments in opposition meet these business people and they make promises, you don't expect that the business people will watch them when they do otherwise, when they are in power.
No, but regulations or laws are laws. And we have to make sure that we make sure the laws work.
And I think that the whole issue is the fact that, I mean, we politicize everything. Everything is politics. And the person who wants to be president would give all sorts of assurances, say that I'll fix everything, when really they are not the institutions.
When you
are
really
not the
cannot
institution.
give the contracts. Because tax evasion is a big deal elsewhere. I mean, even in terms of football icons and the rest, we've seen officials go after Messi, Ronaldo, among other footballers. So you get the best in society elsewhere. Yes, I mean, you get the best in society elsewhere being gone after in terms of tax evasion, because these are people, I always say that, you see, it's not about expanding the net too, because the smaller nets, there are big people in there. And you know, it costs so much to take the tax.
Enforcing.
It costs a lot to collect tax. When your officials are going around and they are going after those in a small kiosks around, they are spending money, they are spending for going after little monies. They are getting 10 CD, 15, 20, 30 daily. Meanwhile, you have some 666 million with some big 200 companies that are easily identifiable. I mean,
and you're working out. Companies who would not want you to publish their names and how much they owe to you. Just do whatever it is you can do and take your money. GRA, stop sleeping. That's all the paper is saying, and I guess we're re-echoing that this morning. Don't turn the focus on us, though. Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper, page 3. The agricultural sector is to receive a big boost following the government's move to establish 500 million Ghana cedis facility to support the growth and development of the sector. President Kofi Annan has said the facility is to serve as some sort of insurance for the commercial banks to give out loans at reasonable rates to farmers, known as the Ghana Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing Agricultural Lending Scheme. That's a bit long. The president said the facility, which would be managed by the Bank of Ghana, was targeted at reducing risk of investment and promoting agriculture financing. President Kofi Annan was speaking at the 2018 Africa Green Revolution Forum, a platform for global and African leaders to develop actionable plans that will move African agriculture forward in Kigali, Rwanda last Saturday. It's the whole page, so I'll leave the rest of the details for you to read. But how often don't we go to these functions and speak nicely and say all sorts of things to ourselves as African? We watch African leaders make all these promises. How many of these actually do we experience? On the ground, agriculture shouldn't be where it is today.
Not at all.
If all the nice
you look
things
at
that
the
our
party
leaders
manifestos
say,
of the two parties since 1992, each year they paint these rosy pictures about how they want our agrarian society or our farmers to be replicating farms on acreages of land, just like we have in the US. They use good tractors and better modern facilities or means of cultivating their farms, but it never gets to happen. First, we've not been able to put together the farmers we have in our country for them to improve on the sort of partnership that will enable them to have big farms. Two, even the current programs that we have,
planting for food and jobs,
sharing fertilizers, we are smuggling the fertilizers. We are even cutting down on the fertilizer that should go to the farmers and putting the money into our own pockets. And so the farmers are not getting the needed help that they need. We're told that we've created some 745,000 jobs for the initiative Planting for Food and Jobs. Have we seen the jobs? Has it been quantified? Where are the jobs located? In what form are they? Are there people who take care of the farm? Do they weed, or what do they do? And beyond just the farming, do we develop the various value chains that are connected to agriculture? And that is what we have.
You know the answer, right?
Yeah, we always do.
Yeah.
One district, one factory was supposed to be the solution.
It is not, obviously. Obviously, it is not. Now, let's look at this story. I don't know whether you've watched the video.
Which paper?
People can show us the video again. It's an angry mob. We're told it's been published. It said angry NDC attacks minister over failed promises. And we're told that the minister and Francis Atukujo, then a candidate, said that he would do this and this. And I'm not sure that I'm sure we're all familiar with stories of MPs or when they were candidates going to promise schools, they promised to build roads, they promised to create jobs for young people. But in reality, if you become an MP, what else can you do than just facilitate or lobby?
Okay, so you know what? I disagree with the young people trying to attack the member of parliament. But I agree with them holding him and trying to make him accountable for the promises that he made. So that next time, if you know you cannot deliver, you don't make promises. So I like that very much. It's just the bit about them wanting to attack him. That's what I don't agree to. But we have to hold our leaders accountable, especially when they outline things that they want to do. And I felt so sorry for him when he was outlining the general things that the governments he was talking about, training allowances and things like that being restored. And I'm like, the people in your own constituency, is that their need? Is that the things you promise them? The people within your constituency, what would trainee allowance restoration do to them?
How many of the young people there go to training colleges there?
So, of course, we have to hold them accountable, not to attack them. But and they also did say that they hardly see him. So this was a one-time opportunity for them to ask him, where are the jobs? Where are the things you promised us? You're a member of parliament. It is not your job to create jobs. You can facilitate.
If they actually feel the way we see them showing it up, I mean, they should just wait and just vote him out.
Yeah. No, but you see, that's the thing. We also don't want to do that. That, okay, I vote for you. You fail to do what you say you will do.
So I have to wait for the next 4 years before.
Meanwhile, for the 4 years, you are enjoying, You're enjoying, but we can vote you out after 2020.
That is why we were told in the
what
past
would you lose?
Ghanaians and voters, for that matter, have short memories. I mean,
yeah.
With all what you've done, if it's election time and a guy comes around and he gives you some money, he buys football for you, and he gives you 20 cedis each, and you still go and vote for him, and then you can expect that after 2020, you should come back to doing what you are doing. But the violence, I think it's not the best.
We condemn the violence. Bad, I mean. We absolutely condemn the violence, but we say members who make promises should be held accountable.
But I like the man,
Yeah,
though.
true.
Yeah.
I like the man. He seems confident of what he's doing in the area, because if you watch the video whilst he was being taken away, he was still trying to
explain.
Yeah, explain to
because
him.
because that is his constituency. Whether he likes it or not, he would return there. You know, so you definitely have to speak to the people.
But then this is also is reality check for many of the politicians who came to power on the heel of things not the economy not doing too well.
Yeah.
And we have to put some of these things into context. If you know you're vying for a seat and it's within a certain geographical location, you have to aspire to meet the needs of those people.
Yeah, specific needs.
You can't ride on the national achievements of the government.
Because it may not mean anything to the people.
To say that the people in Ashaiman, which is my original constituency, who need better perhaps sanitation facilities or perhaps gutters, etc. They are doing free SHS for them already. They are in an urban area, so many people still go to school. Okay, so they have to be able to, on the communication level, be able to fine tune whatever achievement that the general government is achieving or proclaim that it is achieving into the context of the needs of their people.
When you run for election and you campaign on the basis of what you can do alone, realistically, you're going to lose.
But shouldn't the citizens be asking the questions? You claim that you build school for. Why are you going to get the money to build schools?
I think it was one of the promises they said he made.
We're not told in this country that did someone not tell us that? I mean, he's familiar with the BOG and there's so much money in Ghana. I mean, if you ask
Dr. Baumia said that.
Yeah, if you ask where the money is coming from.
Even the president said Nesikano way. But we do understand that when you come into government,
so it's a whole complex thing.
You have to go to the UK.
But the point really is that it's a whole complex thing. It's voters' expectation, how politicians want to win the election. It's so much complex. It's not just as simple as we see it.
I think we have to be asking the questions, are the voters becoming wiser?
I think we are, and the more we continue to do this, not the violence, we condemn the violence, but the more we hold them accountable, they will check themselves and watch what kind of promises they make the next time. Yeah. We can get there. We can help them to get there. You get it? We can help them to get there.
Well, I'm sure that we will get there as well.
Yeah. Maybe we can give him
because
an
currently
idea.
Barack Obama, for their midterm elections, is going around with the Democratic Party candidates trying to
He says things will get worse if they don't vote. So.
I know.
But listen, just one strategy. What's the name of the member of parliament again? He should do a town hall. Yes.
It's called Francis Atukujo.
Mr. Kujo, do a town hall. Get all your people in one room and then speak.
With heavy security presence, by the way.
All right. So we have to go and do sports, but we have myjoyonline.com if we can. If we don't, we just have to.
Okay, we'll come back with the head of the Mental Health Authority because today is World Suicide Prevention Day. We will learn a lot about our country on this subject, so stay with us.
Yes, we'll be right back.